Welcome, everybody, to Cup with Gup on this Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. API deep dive and final thoughts. Recording early on the Wednesday, so may have small changes in the afternoon on the final stuff or this evening. Got to get it knocked out early and get out of here for a little while. I'm, as far as where I've come from Monday, this is one of the few weeks, like I haven't made a ton of dramatic moves from here to there. I'm kind of liking where I'm at on the process, where I've been, the guys I'm on and the reasoning and all that. But some changes, some small things. So we're going to get through that. Like always, it's going to be about 15 minutes or so, knock this out. And then hopefully get with Kenny Kim and do a little E9 this evening. And then we grind out, we get another early start tomorrow. We get at it. Right now, you join us if you would like. If you have not yet, Cup get you 20% off. That includes a 7-day risk-free trial. Seen some new faces, quite a few in the last few weeks. Monster weekend ahead, big UFC fight, NASCAR rolling, NBA going back. The next 5 weeks for golf is really, we'll kick off our March to the Masters and everything. But you get this week, and then you get TPC next week. Valspar, WGC match play, Valero, and then Masters. So a lot of fun match play. I think we have some of the best advantage on the field most years, just with the tools and stuff that we're able to build and even include last year. So I'm looking forward to that. Then we, of course, got 2 Millie Makers next week with TPC. So a lot going on. Come join us if you'd like to. Let's get the listener league filled up. It is in the description. As of this morning, we were approaching well over half full. So let's get that knocked out early so we can bump it for TPC and then try to bump it again for the Masters. Click the link, get your 3 lineups in, 3 max only. Rate and review us on iTunes. That'll go a long way when we start the March to the Masters giveaway. Subscribe and like to our YouTube channel. That also gets you credit. And then in the comments section, tell me your favorite 9K play this week. I think that range up top, I think, is really going to be interesting to see how it all folds out. A lot of great plays, a lot of good pricing. Ownership's going to be relatively flat in most key spots, so it's really going to come down to picking the right guys. I don't see a lot of just clear easy fades or easy plays or anything like that. It's a very tight week, which will make it fun on a tough course, right? Underdog. Talked to you about this on Monday. They are bringing their golf product back. They want to get it out by the Masters, so a few weeks away, but they still have NBA, MMA, hockey, all that kind of stuff going on right now. They do have some early NFL drafts if you want to check it out. Link is in the description. Use code GUP. Get $100 off, or sorry, a dollar for dollar match up to $100. Again, golf will be back in the next few weeks. I don't think it'll be back by next week. That was their first goal, but if not, certainly by the Masters. Getting right into the deep dive and final thoughts for me. Weather and course, I'm seeing a very slight advantage, very slight, maybe PM/AM. Maybe. It's not enough for me to do any kind of wave stacking. If you want to use it as a tiebreaker, or you want to, if you're MME in doing, 20, 50, 100 lineups, and you want to throw a PM/AM stack in 10% of your lineups or something, that's fine. The winds can change so quickly. It's just not a big enough advantage for me to factor right now. I do think the winds are going to get strong over the weekend, so you may see some decent scoring through Thursday, Friday, a little bit more than we have seen, but I think by Sunday you're still going to be around that -10, -11, maybe -12 type number winds this. So you're still going to need guys that play, grind it out, bogey avoidance, good in the wind, all that kind of stuff, good in this rough, the Bermuda rough, because they're going to, that wind on the weekends will cause them to miss greens and stuff. Got to be able to get up and down. Trending highest right now, no specific order. Rahm, Rory, Willie Z, Fitzpatrick, and Paul Casey. Potential sleepers and low own that I like. Seamus Powers, got him around 6%, 7%. Probably MME. Most of these guys are like MME, but they're popping enough and moving up enough that, low ownership, 7,600, could be a good pivot. Tringali, 4 to 5%. Charles Howell III, talked about him Monday. I still don't think he's going to get above 4% max, so 2 to 3% type range. Bo Hostler, another one we discussed Monday. getting a little bit of love, but I don't see him getting over that 4% mark. And then Lee Hodge is another one that don't see him getting above that. So you got some cheap guys there, some pivots in some key areas where there's some other chalk around that I think are all going to be relatively low owned that I like this week. Moving up for me since Monday, I think Matsu. It's kind of on the fence with him. That hole up top, it's really just going to come down to who you think does best. My last pull before I went to bed last night, it's still early this morning, so I hadn't pulled anything re-upped. I'll do that later on, but I think you're going to see maybe an 8%, 9% spread among all 5 of those guys, meaning if you're not familiar with maybe we go from 13% to 21% or somewhere in that factor. I just don't think it's going to be so spread out. We're like, oh, we got to clear, what was a few weeks ago, Brooks was like 5 or 6%, something like that. I think Matthew probably falls in the middle there. And his tee to green performance here is just so good. And you just see the putter kind of trending upwards for him. And he traditionally, we talked about this Monday though, he likes fast greens. I don't say he putts well at Augusta, but he won Augusta. So well relative to his baseline, right? And so if we get that, I don't want to say he runs away with it, but man, I think he could be there, and he's the cheapest in the range. I just got him moved up for me. He's gonna be right there on my border of 1 to 3 max type stuff for sure. MME and all that, I would look at him, but when you're looking at a core play, he's right there. Higo, a guy I liked, but I moved him up even more. Went back and kind of looked at all that stuff that happened Sunday. I'm just not gonna overthink all that. Hadn't played here, probably one downside, but decent on Bermuda. The price, just kind of everything he's done, he's won. I like him, moved him up even more. He's flirting with that core as well. Chris Kirk, he kind of actually moved down in the rankings for me just a hair, but I don't have him near as high on as I thought he would, given, he just had a few bad holes on Sunday. He still finished 7th. He's got 4 top 15s here in the last 5 outs, only 1 missed cut. Man, he's top 23 in Bermuda putting. There's not much I hate about him, and he's coming in with pretty good form. He just had a bad Sunday. If we're going to get him sub 10%, 12% type number at that range, which I get it because there's, we've talked about it. Luke List, Cam Young, Chris, they can't all be super chalky. Listen to several pods, and I hear that a lot. I'm even trying to hedge on that a little bit because I went to a pod the other day driving. I drive a lot now and, getting to customers and stuff, and I think I'd counted 26 guys that I heard the term, he could be chalky. There's just not that many chalk guys. How do we define chalk? I don't know how you define it per se, but there's just not going to be that many that's that, especially in a field like this, over-owned compared to everybody else. There are going to be spots where you go, I think I'll talk about these in a little bit. Paul Casey, probably going to be twice the ownership of Sergio Garcia. Is it worth it? Do you think he's that more likely to do well? That kind of stuff, yes, but there's just not going to be a whole ton of super guys that are just, I only have 2 people flirting, maybe 3 over 20% right now, maybe. So I'll take Chris Kirk at a 10 to 12%. That doesn't bother me at all. Thigali, I talked about, he's moved up some. I still trust him. And I went back and looked at his limited size on Bermuda, but he's done well when he's been on it. He's going to be in that 6-7% range. He's the guy that moved up for me. Fade or move down, Rom. It's really just on that. If you're going to pay up that high, it really came down to me is, do I fade Rom or Rory? Right now, it'd be Rom for me. There's a chance I'd play one guy up there, maybe none, especially 1 to 3 max. I could see that way of it working out, and you avoid a ton of ownership percentage if you fade them all. But, Rory's the one I would lean in that, so I'm going to put Rom down. But Zadenhood, I hadn't got on him. I know he can put the lights out. He's going to be, now he is going to be a guy that's going to be high owned. I don't necessarily know if he's chalk because of where he's at in the pricing and all that, but he's a guy that I just, you got to make some cuts, and that's basically what I'm doing. Tom Hoagie, I like him. I like everything about him. Deep dive and all that. I get it. I know where he's coming out in some form, but he's the guy that I moved off. And then Fitzpatrick, never really play him that much. Has done well here. A lot of it's in that short game, which you do need, and he probably could do again. He's coming in with good form, 10th at Waste Management, 6th at Pebble. But other guys around him where I'd rather go and Fitz is going to be up there. So, that you start looking at a few spots where you want to take some, small leverage, or you're pivoting straight and say, well, these two guys are fairly equal. I'll take this guy over that guy type of deal. And so Fitzpatrick is a fade move down for me. Monday redo. Casey is a guy I like. I still do. I just didn't think he's going to get, I knew he'd be talked up. I keep thinking like we're going to get past where he's chalky Casey, but he had a 15th at the Genesis. He's got, a 10th, a 9th, and a 41st here since 2016. So it makes sense. He putts well on Bermuda. I get it. But he's a guy that has, I wouldn't be as high on, and especially the example I just used. Like I think Sergio could be 2 and 2.5x less owned than him. And not that Sergio's any better, but I like Kokrak a lot. I talked about that. He's $100 more. There's just areas there that he's a guy that kind of a redo for me. And then Matsu, who I've already talked about. I didn't mention him much on Monday. He's a guy that's up there that I'm bubbling on. Like I mentioned to kick off the pod, I hadn't moved a lot of my thoughts and feelings. And some weeks I move a lot, right? You just hear things and you get through, all the industry information, whether it's written or pods, and you kind of change your mind there. Staying strong, 3 guys: Willie Z, Cam Young, Kokrak. Not moving off those guys. I like them all. Leverage plays, there's really, like I mentioned earlier, there's not a ton of them, simply because of, you have a lot of flat ownership this week. But Hatton would be one. He's probably going to come in the lowest there, but still be 10%-ish or so. And then Tringali, Garcia down, in the 8K range. They're both going to be somewhat lower than everybody else. Up top, there's just not going to be one. I mean, it's going to be tight between probably Scheffler, Hovland, Matsu. Those 3 will all be within 1% or 2 of each other, and then Roy or Rahm will be up there. But there's no like clear 6% guy, and these guys are 15 to 20. It's just not up there this week. Monkey Knife Fight, that link is in the description as well. Same dollar for dollar match up to $100. GUPS, GUPS is the code to get you that. I'm doing the more or less this week, pays 3x the money. I'm going Kokrak over 15.5 birdies and Sung Jae over 14.5 birdies. I like that play for my play of the week. My one and done, my final 5 that I'll be choosing 3 from: Willie Z, Sung Jae, Matsu, Rory, and Kokrak this week. As I mentioned, use Cup, get 20% off, includes a 7-day risk-free trial, massive UFC pay-per-view. Tommy is 20-3 the last 2 weeks. NASCAR continues to grind. Cash games there, if you're into that, have been awesome. Ryan's done a great job. Jimbo's come along and helping out, doing the truck and Xfinity, but they're both in there all week, talking up stuff as everybody tries to figure out these new cars. NBA going daily as well. Every day we got showdown coverage for golf. Always have, always will. And now, like I mentioned, I mean, just we get API this week, TPC, Valspar, WGC Match Play, Valero, Masters. If there's a time to get in, and this week, next week, you get your free trial, and then 4 more weeks if you do a monthly. That's pretty cheap to get in there and get a bulk of really good tournaments to see if we're a good fit for you. Appreciate you all. I'll be back much later on here today on Wednesday for the premium members. Have a blessed Wednesday and a good luck this week as we march towards our first big double Millie Maker next week. Have a good one. Thanks.